C or D. That's why your language should also be a neutral language, not reflecting your personal bias. फेमिनिज्म में एक सवाल आया और पुरुष हैं, उन्होंने कहा नहीं नहीं, फेमिनिज्म से तो बहुत पुरुषों की जीवन एकदम समस्या से ग्रस्त हो गई है। क्यों समस्या से ग्रस्त हो गई है? क्योंकि इतने टफ लॉज बना दिए महिलाओं के लिए, अब तो हमारा जीवन दुभर कर दिया है, खूब सारे फॉल्स लॉज, फॉल्स केसेस हमारे ऊपर डाल दिए जाए। दैट्स वन वे ऑफ लुकिंग एट इट। अभी यूजीसी बिल के ऊपर इतना घमासान है, बट as somebody who is an aspirant, your language, even if you're criticizing it, should be very, very neutral, precise. Problem hai, but you will resolve the problem not by bluntly critiquing it, but by saying that even the Supreme Court has talked about, and you will refer that case about certain safeguards that should be attached to the law so that the law should not be misused. So what you will demand or what you will suggest, that there should be some safeguards which should be provided so that any law should not be misused against any community. That's it. ठीक है? और ये नहीं कहना चाहिए कि नहीं, इससे तो हमारा एकदम, आपने एक समुदाय को देश से एकदम भगा दिया, पछाड़ दिया और उसको उठा के धोबिया जो है पछाड़ मार दिया। इस तरह से नहीं बताना, ब्लंटली कोई भी चीज नहीं लिखना, ताकि ऐसा ना लगे कि आप पर्सनली बड़े आहत हो गए किसी चीज से, और आपकी पर्सनल अभिव्यक्ति किसी चीज पर नहीं होनी चाहिए। यानी आप देश के ब्यूरोक्रेट हैं तो आपकी लैंग्वेज में एक संतुलन होना चाहिए, बैलेंस होना चाहिए, प्लस इट शुड ऑलवेज बी unbiased, it should always be very neutral, and it should never represent your personal inclinations or bias. ये दोनों काम करना है। इसलिए न्यूज़पेपर रीडिंग जब भी करें तो we should just take out the matter without getting into, indulging into any kind of ideological bias that is attached with the author's perspective. Because on political questions there can be ideological bias. If you are looking at non-political questions, sometimes you will get a very fair articles also. But if you are generally looking at political issues, then sometimes bias may creep in depending on the person who has written the article, but that person may also represent a particular political ideology, should be a supporter of an ideology, and therefore he should be personally biased as well. Third thing that we have to refer from our source material. So newspaper reading is a habit, and everybody who is preparing this examination, they should start reading the newspaper. And a good way to do it is that you refer to a YouTube channel, which is like a Drishti YouTube channel, where they are discussing everyday newspaper, and they are coming up with the topics which are important from the point of view of the examination, which paper, and they give you a brief of all of this. I mean, that is something which you can easily do it while you are, on the move, taking a walk, taking a jolt, so that you understand how you have to read the newspaper also. So to begin with, people who don't understand that how they have to, ठीक है, और उसमें they are discussing the topics which are related to or which have a linkage to any of the GS topics, either paper 1, paper 2, paper 3 or paper 4. Now if you just watch that channel like for 10 days, 20 days, for 1 month, it will A, become a habit for you, and B, it will open a new horizon so that you will also be able to relate to the topics the next day. So that after a point of time, you will be able to do it on your own. Plus, it's a video, audio mode, so it's like easy for you to listen to it so that you get a crux of the major argument of the authors at one point also. And they share the PDF also in the link so that you also have a ready-made PDF as well. So to begin with, you can go and refer to that channel also, so that it will help you understand that program, and then you can yourself start doing that exercise. ठीक है? तो gradually इसको build करना है आपको. The third thing is, I would say that you have to also, if you want to focus on a book, although I most often don't say it, but if I don't say it, people think that I don't know the name of the book. That's why I have to say it, that you can refer to this book also by M. Lakshmikant. ये दोनों एक शब्द है शायद, दोनों अलग अलग नहीं है ना, M. Lakshmikant. So if you refer to this book, I may again tell you, it is not required as such. You can just keep hold of this book just for the sake where if you are reading something and after reading it from your class notes and the study in the classroom, you still feel that you have not been able to develop the concept and some gaps do exist, and then if you want to refer to any material, then I would say you can refer to this material. ठीक है, only in case if you still think that there is a gap that exists in your understanding of a particular concept. More often than not, I personally feel that it will not come, as a matter of fact before you. You will not feel that, but in case for students who may feel it, they may refer to it. That's a good reference that you can go back to and see it. Lakshmikant will help you more or less for prelims part of the examination. Because for mains part of the examination, even Lakshmikant is not sufficient. Why it is not sufficient? A, it is not very contemporary because it is not revised every year. B, for mains, the questions that are asked and the manner of the questions which are being asked is something where you have to analyze the concept. Plus, you also have to focus on the contemporary events which have taken place, and the questions are asked linking that contemporary events with the question. So there will be a Sabrimala judgment, and that year UPSC will want to know that what was the outcome of the judgment, and they will ask you a question on constitutional morality, something of that sort. Now, for this, you cannot refer to the book and have a solution to this question because it's a very contemporary based question. But for understanding the provisions of the Constitution, you can refer to this particular book. Okay? That's another reference. Now, for all the students who may not have a background in Indian politics or political science during their college days or during their +2 days, क्योंकि बहुत बच्चे ऐसे होंगे जो साइंस में होंगे plus they would have done a non-humanities course in their graduation also. For them, they don't have to jump straight away to any of these study materials. First, they have to build a familiarity with the words, with the terms, and with the provisions. So for them, there is only one book that I refer, not for everyone, people who have a background of political science in their 12th or in their graduation days, for them it is not required. For people who don't have a background in their +2 or graduation, then this book is also required to be studied at least 4 to 5 times. Okay? The book is Indian Constitution at Work. Okay? So this is the book. This is basically NCERT, and this is NCERT class 11 book. इसको रख लेना है. ये आपको मेरे ख्याल में डिजिटल फॉर्म में भी मिल जाएगा because NCERT has allowed the download, free download of all its books. So you can access this digitally also. While people who like the feeling of the paper, उस तरह की जिसके इमोशंस हैं कि भाई हमें अखबारों में कुछ चीज़ को छू के पढ़ना है, थोड़ा उसकी सुगंध आनी चाहिए, तो फिर उसके लिए किताब ठीक है, ताकि किताब में आप छू भी सकते हैं उसको और उससे अगर उसको खुशबूदार रखा है तो उसमें खुशबू भी आएगी. ठीक है, तो उनके लिए इंडियन कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन एट वर्क है. इंडियन कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन एट वर्क को शुरू में पढ़ दिया, अभी से शुरू कर दीजिए, मतलब आज से पढ़ना शुरू करें और उसकी 3-4 रीडिंग जरूर करें, just to get yourself familiar with the basic terminologies and basic concepts with regards to reading of the Indian Constitution. ठीक है, तो ये एक अच्छी किताब है, इसको एक बार देखने की कोशिश करें आप लोग. I think that is good enough for you. For the source part, I will not ask you to read any other source. So in a nutshell, if I say these are the 2 sources that I am telling you to refer to, that's more than enough. For a booklet that you have, which is a booklet given to you by the institution, in that booklet you can refer to the box items because box items are curated with so much of information in them. So when you read a particular topic, then something related to the topic that exists in the box item in that reference book, that can also be referred. Okay? That's primarily what we require for the examination. तो ध्यान हमें इसी बात का रखना है that this is how we approach the preparation of the examination. देख मैं सवाल लिखता हूं बोर्ड पे जिससे कि ये क्लियर हो कि प्रीलिम्स और मेंस में एक बेसिक डिफरेंस क्या होता है. When they ask you a question from Indian polity, which is from the prelims part, because you know that if I start the preparation, so what is the utility of Indian polity in both pre and main. So the good thing about Indian polity is that if you prepare Indian polity, the Indian polity helps you both in pre part of the examination as well as the main part of the examination. So in the pre part of the examination, you can expect 12 to 15 question. So 12 being the lower limit, 15 being the higher limit. And in between, we can say that 13 is an average that we can take for Indian polity questions. Now you all know one primary thing with the preparation is that if you end up scoring or if you end up having like 50 correct answers, which is, I would say, if you end up scoring 100 marks in your general studies paper for the pre part of the examination, is it a score that can get you to main? Is 100 a safe score? Even less than 100 is a safe score, which means 100 is a safer score. Okay. Now, to reach to 100 question, you require 50 correct answers, which means you should have 50 correct answers, and this 50 would be other than what you may commit error in the form of negative marking also. So I'm saying that even after adding the negative marking, your score should not be less than 100. I'm saying this is a safe limit for you. Now, what I'm trying to say, I'm just trying to say that if you require 50 questions to clear your pre-exam, then this is one area which is giving you roughly an attempt at 12 to 15 questions, which all of them could be correct. Because in Indian polity, if you know them, you know them. If you don't know them, then you just don't know them. You can't guess a correct answer over here. And because it is about a constitution, a document, the questions are related to the understanding of that document. So it is not very tough also, in the sense that the questions are not something which is out of this world, which is completely difficult to comprehend. Because whatever they will be asking you, that is within the document that we are reading, which is our Indian Constitution. So I would just like to tell you that this is one of the most easier part where you can expect almost more than 90% accuracy. With the least efforts, you can actually get a 90% accuracy in the pre part of the examination. So for your pre-strategy, having command over Indian polity is inevitable. अगर आप प्री की स्ट्रैटेजी में पॉलिटी को इग्नोर करके चलते हैं तो इट बिकम्स डिफिकल्ट. Rather, I would say that it will be very, very difficult to then, bring this 50 question that is required for us to clear this examination. So 50 is more like a safe limit. That is why I'm constantly focusing on the word or the number 50 here. So in that case, I would say this is the importance of Indian polity, and we could very well achieve this 90% accuracy just by being in the classroom for the other 50 to 55 classes. इतने में हो जाएगा. बस आप क्लास में बने रहें, जो बात हो रही है उसको ध्यान से सुने, जो आपसे लिखने को कहा जा रहा है वो आप ध्यान से इसको लिख लें. ठीक, ये तो पहली बात है. अब एक चीज है कि हमने क्लास में बातचीत की, हमारी discussions we have, whatever we have conducted, and after the discussion we go home, we eat our food, have our food, do some social media activity, and it is past midnight and then we sleep, because वो भी एक अलग कोचिंग है जो वहां से शुरू होता है. And you never ever get because you are so busy, so you never have the time to revise what you have been taught in the classroom. So I would pray to everyone that out of all your busy schedule, try to at least take out some time so that these things could also be revised. थोड़ा सा उंगली को आराम दे करके आंखों पे थोड़ा प्रेशर डालें, थोड़ा जोर दें. तो ये काम करना है. जो कुछ भी पढ़ाया जा रहा है, जिस भी दिन पढ़ाया जा रहा है, make it a point that when you go to your home, back home, the first thing you do before sleeping is you just take a cursory look, एक बार revise कर लो. And when you are coming for the class, एक बार फिर से उसको रिवाइज करके आना। अभी तो हम थोड़ी बेसिक क्लासेस करेंगे, तो वी आर नॉट, यू विल नॉट बी नोइंग कि अगली बात क्या हम करने वाले हैं, बट व्हेन वी विल स्टार्ट विथ द मेजर पोर्शन ऑफ द सिलेबस आफ्टर वी हैव डन द बेसिक पार्ट, so you will know exactly what I am going to teach next in the next class. So it would be better that if you are coming to the classroom a little bit more prepared with a little bit of more information, and that can easily be done by your own booklet that you have with you. उसको रेफर करके एक बार आ सकते हैं क्लासरूम। अगर आगे ना भी पढ़े तो कम से कम जितनी बात हो गई है, मैं ये एक्सपेक्ट करता हूँ कि कम से कम उतना भी करके हम लोग आ जाए। अगर ये पूरा रूटीन हम करते रहे और आवर क्लासेस 50 to 55 क्लासेस, फिर आपको बहुत ज्यादा मेहनत करने की पॉलिटी में जरूरत नहीं है, इवन विथ 1 or 2 रिवीजन्स। सो जनरली वी से दैट 5-6 रिवीजन इज रिक्वायर्ड, बट इफ यू हैव डन दिस बिट वेयर यू हैव रिवाइज्ड एवरीथिंग, और एवरीथिंग का मतलब है फिर से शुरू से जहां तक पहुंचे, विच मींस यू हैव टू डिवोट मोर टाइम। जैसे जैसे बढ़ता जाएगा तो आपको समय भी देना पड़ेगा ज्यादा, यू नो, बिकॉज इट विल टेक टाइम। लेकिन अगर आप रिवाइज करते आ रहे हैं रोज रोज ना, तो फिर उस चीज को पढ़ने में आपको बहुत कम समय लगता है, and that will be multiple revisions that you'll be able to do even by the time we end the discussion. बस इसी मेहनत से we'll be able to score good in the pre part of the examination with Indian polity. That's the first thing. Now the second issue is that when we come to the main part of the examination, अब मेन पार्ट ऑफ द एग्जामिनेशन में अगर आप देखें कि क्वेश्चंस जो आपसे पूछे जाएंगे, सो हाउ मेनी क्वेश्चंस यू आर आस्क्ड प्राइमरली फ्रॉम दिस पर्टिकुलर पार्ट. So you can expect that you will be getting almost, or roughly I would say, questions that would range from 4 to 6. Where do you see these questions? Largely from main part of the examination. You have GS paper 2. तो पेपर 2 जो GS का आएगा उसमें आपको सवाल मिलेंगे मेन एग्जामिनेशन के लिए from this particular portion, and there what you have to do is you have to see that most of the questions which are asked to you, you will only be well versed with it, with the concept. You will have a proper way to analyze what is asked, because main is not about information only. PT is more about information, but main is more than information. Main is more about analyzing it. Main is more about discussing it. Main is more about reflecting what you have understood by the reading of those portions. So a substantial part, I would say, that may be asked to us in the examination from paper 2, because in paper 2 you have polity plus governance as well. So sometimes when you look at the questions, both the questions do collide sometimes. So you see that either this question is from governance or this question is from governance, from polity. Yes, governance has a different set of syllabus, and here when we are teaching governance, the governance, teacher will be teaching you the syllabus that we have divided amongst ourselves, where portions which I will not be teaching will all be taught in the governance portions. Okay, so first is that we should know that what are the major issues which are asked in the form of the question before us. यानी हमारे सामने कितने तरह के क्वेश्चंस आएंगे. अगर आप क्वेश्चन पेपर उठाकर देखें तो आप एक्सपेक्ट करें 12 to 15 क्वेश्चंस विल बी आस्क्ड फ्रॉम पॉलिटी एंड गवर्नेंस. कितने क्वेश्चंस हो गए हमारे पास? 12 से लेकर 15 क्वेश्चंस हमें केवल कहां से मिलेंगे? इट विल बी फ्रॉम दी गवर्नेंस. यानी गवर्नेंस इज पॉलिटी एंड गवर्नेंस. Among this also, if I'm saying 12 to 14, so if I say, suppose I'm keeping a figure of 14, so 12 to 15, if you could say, we are keeping a figure somewhere between 14. Out of these 14, you can see that you will be asked 10 to 11 questions from Indian polity only. Okay, so very, very substantial number of questions will be asked from Indian polity, which means that you are basically, in terms of marks, if I would say, you would be expecting somewhere between 60 to 90 in terms of marks from Indian polity itself. So a very, very substantial portion will be asked to you from Indian polity, even your general studies too, in the main part of the examination. ठीक? अब जैसे मैं एक सिंपल सवाल आपसे बताता हूं कि दोनों में फर्क क्या होता है। मेन में और प्री में जब आप एग्जाम दे रहे होते हैं तो क्वेश्चन के समझने का अंतर आप कैसे समझ सकते हैं। एक सवाल मैं लिखता हूं यहां पे, कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनली guaranteed independence of judiciary is a prerequisite for democracy। ठीक, तो इसका आंसर ये नहीं लिखना कि यस सर। ठीक है, अब यहां पे मान लो लिखा रहेगा डिस्कस, कमेंट, एनी ऑफ दिस थिंग्स। मान लो 10 मार्कर है, 150 वर्ड में लिखना है आपको। So we all will be reading about independence of judiciary. We'll be reading about it in so many places when we read Indian polity, and we'll discuss this about the independence of judiciary. But this is a question that will be asked in the main examination. क्योंकि मेन एग्जामिनेशन में उन्होंने ये नहीं पूछा what are the provisions which is going to make Indian judiciary an independent judiciary. What they're asking is, they know that you know about these provisions, and now is the time for you to explain it. That if you are talking about a judiciary, if it is not independent, then you can't say there can be democracy. Why? Because बिना एक स्वतंत्र न्यायपालिका के किसी भी देश में प्रजातंत्र नहीं हो सकता। तो प्रजातंत्र के लिए क्या है, परम आवश्यक है, अति आवश्यक है कि उस देश की न्यायपालिका स्वतंत्र होनी चाहिए। The judiciary should be independent if you really want that there should be democracy in a state or in a nation. इस तरह के सवाल आपको मेंस में पूछे जाते हैं। ठीक है, फिर